Have you ever wondered who is truly in control of your mind? You try to think less, but thinking happens on its own. You try to stay calm, but emotions rise like waves you cannot stop. And in the middle of it all, there is a quiet question whispering inside you. Who is the one watching all of this happen? That is where awareness begins. Zen teaches that the mind is both the source of your suffering and the doorway to your liberation. It is not something to destroy, but something to understand. Because when you see the mind clearly, it begins to reprogram itself through that very seeing. The key is not effort, but observation. Not struggle, but awareness. The mind is like a stream, constantly flowing with thoughts, sensations, and memories. Most people stand in the middle of that stream, trying to hold the water back with their hands. But the more they try to control it, the stronger the current becomes. Awareness steps out of the stream and simply watches the flow. It does not interfere, it does not resist, it just sees clearly. And in that clarity, the water finds its own stillness. When you look deeply, you start to see that thoughts are not the enemy. They are like clouds passing through the sky of your mind. You do not need to chase them or push them away. You only need to remember that you are the sky, not the clouds. You are the awareness in which every thought appears and disappears. Reprogramming the mind through awareness means seeing how automatic your thinking has become is less than #0. 5# is greater than. You react before you notice, you choose before you understand why you chose. Most of what you call yourself is a pattern of repetition learned long ago. Zen calls this habit energy the momentum of the mind that keeps repeating the same movements because it does not know how to stop. When you become aware of that movement, you are no longer carried away by it. You begin to rest in the awareness that watches. Awareness is not thought. It is the space in which thought happens. You can sense it right now if you pause and listen to the silence between your thoughts. That silence is awareness itself, quiet, luminous, and alive. It does not judge what it sees. It does not try to fix what it feels. It simply observes. And through that observation, transformation begins. Many people believe they must fight the mind to find peace, but fighting creates more resistance. The harder you try to silence your thoughts, the louder they become. Awareness is the opposite of control. It is a surrender into seeing things as they are. And in that surrender, the noise begins to settle on its own. Imagine a mirror. It reflects everything but clings to nothing. No matter what appears before it, the mirror remains unchanged. Awareness is that mirror inside you. It reflects every thought, every emotion, every sensation, but it is never stained by them. When you recognize this, you begin to live from that place of still reflection rather than the moving images within it. Zen masters have always said that the nature of the mind is originally pure, is less than #0. 5# is greater than, like clear water disturbed only by the winds of thought. When the wind stops, the water returns to stillness. Awareness is that stillness. It does not need to be created, it only needs to be remembered. When you are aware, you begin to see that every thought has a birth and a death. It arises, stays for a moment, and then dissolves. You realize that no thought lasts forever, no emotion can imprison you unless you hold on to it. Awareness allows them to pass like leaves drifting down a river. The river keeps moving, but the watcher on the bank remains untouched. Reprogramming through awareness is not about replacing one thought with another. It is about seeing the entire process of thinking itself. When you see how thought begins, how it grows, and how it fades, you begin to understand its nature. And understanding frees you more than control ever could. The Buddha once said that the mind is everything what you think you become. But Zen goes deeper. It asks, who is the one who thinks? When you look deeply, you find that the thinker is also a thought, a movement appearing within awareness. There is no separate self inside the mind, only patterns of memory pretending to be someone. When awareness sees this illusion clearly, the grip of identity begins to fade. This is why Zen practice is often called the art of returning. Again and again you return to this moment, to this breath, to this simple seeing. Each return weakens the habit of wandering and strengthens the habit of awareness is less than #0. 5 is greater than. In time, this awareness becomes continuous. Even when thoughts are moving, even when emotions arise, even when the world feels chaotic. Awareness becomes your home. Reprogramming is not a single event, it is a gradual remembering. Each time you notice the mind drifting and you return to awareness, you are changing its structure. You are teaching it to rest in the present moment. This is how the brain begins to reflect the stillness of awareness itself. When awareness is strong, you start to see how thoughts create emotion and how emotion feeds thought. You see how a single memory can trigger a whole story, how a single fear can create a world of limitation. And when you see it, you no longer believe it completely. You begin to smile at the tricks of the mind, knowing they are only passing clouds. This smile is not of amusement but of understanding. It is the smile of one who has stopped fighting with themselves. Awareness brings compassion because it reveals that even your confusion was innocent. The mind was only trying to protect you even when it caused pain. When you see this clearly, you stop blaming and start understanding. That understanding is what heals. The path of awareness has no finish line. There is no final state where thoughts stop forever. The mind continues to move, but your relationship to it changes. You begin to live from the unmoving center rather than from the moving edges. Zen calls this living as the witness. The one who sees without clinging is less than #0. 5 is greater than. When awareness deepens, even the smallest actions become sacred. Drinking tea, walking, breathing, all become expressions of stillness in motion. You start to see that enlightenment is not a distant event, but the full presence within ordinary life. The reprogrammed mind is not empty of thought, it is empty of attachment. Thoughts come and go, but awareness remains unshaken. This is the peace that Zen points toward, the peace that does not depend on conditions. To live with awareness is to live in harmony with what is. You no longer push against life, trying to shape it into what you want. You flow with it like water moving effortlessly around stones. This is not passivity, it is wisdom. Because awareness sees that everything has its moment, and forcing only creates friction. The mind loves to chase control, but awareness reveals that control is an illusion. You cannot control what arises, but you can choose whether to be consumed by it. When you watch a thought instead of following it, it loses its weight. Awareness is like sunlight. It does not fight the darkness, it simply shines. When you live from awareness, you notice that reality itself becomes lighter. Not because the world has changed, but because you are no longer burdened by your inner noise. You experience life directly, not through filters of memory or expectation. This direct experience is called suchness in Zen, the simple reality of what is here now. In suchness, there is no good or bad, no past or future, there is only being, is less than #0. 5 is greater than. As awareness deepens, your sense of time begins to soften. Moments stretch and expand because you are no longer rushing through them. You discover that eternity is not something in the distance, it is hidden within each passing second. To live with awareness is to step into that eternity now. Reprogramming through awareness is not about reaching some perfect calm, it is about seeing even restlessness with clarity. It is about allowing every state to arise and pass while remaining rooted in presence. This steady seeing dissolves the illusion of chaos and reveals the natural order beneath. The masters of Zen often use simple actions to teach this truth. When sweeping the floor, they simply sweep. When walking, they simply walk. Because the act itself, when done with full awareness, becomes meditation. The mind that was scattered becomes unified in the simplicity of being here now. When awareness fills your life, every action becomes effortless. You speak when words are needed, you stay silent when they are not. You move in rhythm with life rather than against it. This is what it means to reprogram the mind. Through awareness, you are no longer a slave to thought. You are guided by seeing. Sometimes awareness will bring uncomfortable truths. You may see how much of your life was lived unconsciously, how much pain came from resistance. But even this realization is grace. Because once you see clearly, you can no longer live in blindness. Awareness transforms pain into wisdom by illuminating its root is less than #0. 5# is greater than. When you rest in awareness long enough, you begin to sense that there is no separate observer at all. The distinction between watcher and watched starts to fade. You realize that awareness and life are one movement, the ocean and the waves, not two things. This is the heart of Zen, the understanding that awareness is not something you possess, it is what you are. When that understanding dawns, reprogramming is complete. The mind becomes transparent, like a window that lets light pass through. Thoughts still arise, but they no longer obscure reality. You live in alignment with the natural flow of existence. If you pause right now and take a slow breath, you can sense it. The gentle awareness, watching the breath enter and leave. That awareness has no age, no boundary, no form. It is pure presence, resting quietly in the background of every experience. It was there when you were a child, it is here now, and it will remain when every thought fades. This is what Zen calls your original mind, the mind that is free before it becomes tangled in stories. To live from that mind is to live in peace with all things. The world still moves, the seasons still change, but within you, there is stillness, like the depth of an ocean, untouched by the waves above. So when you ask how to reprogram the mind through awareness, the answer is simple yet profound. You watch, you feel, you listen, you return. Again and again you return until awareness becomes your natural state. Then you discover that nothing needed to be reprogrammed at all. The clarity was always there waiting for you to remember. And when you live from that remembrance, every breath, every sound, every sight becomes a quiet teaching, a reminder that awareness is freedom and freedom is now.